If you think Ibrahim Traoré is just another typical political figure in Africa, think again.
Finally, I would like to convey my congratulations and my gratitude to the Chief of Staff, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. He is the one who called me, and with that, we will move forward together.
His leadership style isn't just about making moves for the sake of power. It's about shaping a vision that even those who oppose him can't ignore. Take the case of the recently dismissed Prime Minister, for example. Instead of slinging mud and tearing down the man who replaced him, he's praising Traoré's vision for Burkina Faso. This isn't something you see every day in politics. When even your critics are compelled to acknowledge your foresight, it speaks volumes about the weight of your leadership. Traoré's ability to earn respect from both allies and adversaries shows that his strategy is far beyond the usual political games. He's not just playing the game, he's rewriting the rules. But how? Let's find out.
So our relationship at the beginning was good, but he became my boss, my friend, and my brother. During all the time we worked together, there was not a single time of divergence. We had convergence techniques. It may be the methods that diverged, but we had the same convictions and the same objectives. So as I said, he was my boss at first, but now he has become my boss, my friend, and my brother.
Right off the bat, this isn't your average corporate or political speech. The PM isn't simply acknowledging a fellow leader in the traditional sense. What we're witnessing here is the heart of true leadership. When he talks about Captain Ibrahim Traoré as more than just his boss, but his friend and brother, it's clear that this relationship goes way beyond professional boundaries. It's rare, especially in high-stakes leadership roles, to see such a close personal connection. Leadership usually carries this distance, a formal respect but with clear boundaries. But this is something different. It's one thing to be a leader because of your position, but to be respected like this, to be someone's friend and brother in leadership, speaks volumes about the trust and mutual understanding that's been built over time. The PM points out that even though they may have had different methods or approaches, the one thing they always had in common was a shared vision and unwavering conviction. And that's the golden rule, isn't it? When people are aligned in their core values, those differences in style or technique don't stand in the way. That shared vision can drive them through any challenge. We've all seen relationships where people can't seem to get on the same page, where every disagreement feels like a roadblock. But when there's trust, even differing methods can complement each other and push the team forward, not pull it apart. This bond, this dynamic between Traoré and the PM, is built on that core principle of respect and unity, and it's the foundation of real success.
And under his leadership, we have engaged a lot of people. And as I said earlier, you do not see all the aspects of the G7 summit. But as I said, the G7 does not face zero. I have attended the inauguration of the G7 summit for many years. But there will be others. There will be the treatment of mining residues, everything. And I can tell you that the Chief of Staff has a great project and a great vision for the French government. And if what he has in mind comes true, I can assure you that the years to come will be years of prosperity for our country. So I ask you to accompany him in this direction so that we can all benefit from it. Anyway, we have a few priorities.
Now this takes us beyond the surface level of leadership and shows us the kind of visionary thinking that can change a country. PM doesn't just praise Captain Traoré for his accomplishments, he speaks to the larger vision that Traoré embodies. This isn't just about putting out fires or making short-term decisions. This is about building something lasting. That's where true leadership shines. So often in politics or business, leaders focus on immediate problems or reactions to crises. but Traoré seems to be thinking years, even decades, into the future. The PM talks about how, under Traoré's leadership, the country can expect years of prosperity. Not just in the immediate term, but in a way that changes the country for good. And that's something truly powerful. It shows that Traoré isn't just trying to fix what's broken, he's setting up a sustainable path to success. But the PM doesn't leave us in the abstract. He ties this vision to real things that are happening, like ensuring security and stabilizing the country. These aren't just lofty words, they're concrete actions. The connection between leadership and tangible outcomes is clear here. It's one thing to dream big, but it's another to have the execution to match those dreams. The PM is effectively saying that, with Traoré, the country isn't just moving, it's moving with purpose. And if that sense of direction is maintained, we can expect prosperity that stands the test of time. That's the kind of leadership that goes beyond the office and starts to shape a nation's destiny. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now.
Anyway, we have a few priorities. First of all, it is security. We have come at a time when, under the leadership of President Ibrahim Traoré, the security is declining. It was not the case when we arrived in November 2022. But under his leadership, which I call the strategy, he has been able to equip the G7 summit in both material and personal terms to be able to face our main enemy, which is security.
It's easy to talk about progress, but real progress requires not just infrastructure or policy, but a change in mindset. This is where the foundation for long-term success is laid, not in grand speeches, but in the everyday, often unseen efforts to change how people think and act. The PM talks about how important it is to refound the state, not just to fix the systems, but to fundamentally shift the way people interact with those systems. This is about creating a culture of discipline and responsibility that can sustain any progress that follows. And frankly, that's often the hardest part. We can all agree that building roads or investing in infrastructure is hard, but how much harder is it to change how people engage with those things? To get people to believe in the rules and to follow them with conviction. That's the heavy lifting in nation building. When the PM talks about road safety or small disciplinary issues, it's clear these are not just isolated concerns. They are part of a much bigger plan. The importance of these actions is immense because they represent the kind of society the country is striving to become. One where order and responsibility are the pillars. That's not something you can achieve overnight, but the fact that it's being addressed is a massive step forward. It's about creating a culture where discipline isn't just a requirement, it's a shared value. And when a society collectively buys into that, real progress becomes possible.
Then there is the refounding of the state. It is underway, so it would be good if we could continue in this direction. Because without a refounded state, in addition to our real state, progress will be difficult. And in this refounding, I think that the transformation of the mentality, the deployment of the necessary mentality, so that people can become aware of the real state of our society and the goals that we want to achieve. We need to have a refounding. We cannot develop a country in indiscipline, in disorder, in filth, when there is no function.
The discussion on our founding the state isn't just a metaphor. It's a practical, vital step that requires dismantling what's not working and building something entirely new. The state itself needs to be rebuilt in a way that can sustain long-term growth. It's a stark reminder that you can't have meaningful development without a strong, stable foundation. This goes beyond just changing the rules or systems in place. It's about creating a society where people genuinely believe in the system, where there's accountability, and where individuals act in the collective interest. And let's be honest, creating that kind of mindset shift takes time. But the PM seems optimistic, recognizing that the changes they're pushing for are already starting to show results. It's about refounding the state, sure, but also refounding the culture. When the PM talks about mental transformation, and changing people's attitudes, it's not some lofty ideal. It's a core strategy. The goal isn't just to rebuild physical infrastructure, but to create a sense of national identity and purpose that will support the structures they're putting in place. This is leadership at its most thoughtful, seeing not just the visible problems, but the invisible challenges that are crucial for any meaningful change.
One of the first objectives that I had assigned to the Minister of Transport and the Minister of Security was to juggle the situation in Clermont-Lévin so that there is respect for the road, that people wear helmets, that people respect the road, that we do not want to be on the road. While there are cyclists on the side, which causes a lot of traffic accidents, the consequences are serious. But we have been confronted with a reality. The Ministry of Safety told me that currently the personnel in charge of the control is mobilized for us. What is left is not enough to solve the problem. However, it is difficult to direct a rule until we have the means to criticize it. So all this is the refounding of society. The refounding of society so that we can live better, improve our productivity.
But a bigger fight is with imperialism. Imperialism is a force that's ingrained in every aspect of governance and is a powerful insight into how deeply foreign influences can affect national policy. This isn't just political theory. This is the lived experience of dealing with the weight of imperialism every single day.
Finally, there is another chapter that I consider to be one of the most important. It is the chapter on the conflagration of the Sahel states. So as you probably don't know, since 1986, I have been studying this chapter. What to do to prevent the conflagration of the Sahel? There are several chapters on this, etc. And when the opportunity presented itself, we said, why not? Why not try, even if it will be difficult? People started laughing and so on. But I think that today, with the conclusion of this project, those who laughed at the beginning will find themselves. The masses have seized the project in such a way that it is itself that pushes the leaders of today towards the realization of the conflagration and the conflagration of the Sahel. Why am I talking like this? Because you know that our countries, each one of them, is very fragile. We are talking about sovereignty, and our countries must not isolate their sovereignty from the enemy forces that we have in front of us. I would like to tell you that throughout my studies in my life, I have always been against the influence of imperialism in the country. But when I became Prime Minister, I realized that I had not fully grasped the influence of imperialism in my country. These are the tentacles, and I saw how in Spain, these tentacles are harmful to human health. You know, often in my recordings, I would come back to this point so that people would be aware of it.
When the PM talks about imperialism's tentacles, it's a graphic but accurate metaphor for how deeply these foreign forces have influenced the country's past and present. It's one thing to acknowledge these forces from afar. It's another to deal with their direct impact on your country's sovereignty. And when the PM shares how he only truly understood the depth of this influence after becoming Prime Minister, it's a reminder that sometimes we can't fully appreciate the extent of a problem until we're in the trenches ourselves. This reflection brings a new level of understanding to the challenges these nations face. It's not just about external threats. It's about dealing with the historical and systemic impacts of foreign dominance and influence. This is where leadership comes in, because overcoming these entrenched forces requires vision, courage, and above all, unity.
And when you are confronted with these effects, it is difficult for you to understand this message. So the influence of imperialism in the behavior of our societies is very big. And so if we want to evolve, we will have to overcome this to find our own way of development. To try to isolate the state is difficult. If we put ourselves together, we can form a strong bloc on the level of the population, on the level of the economy, on the level of the military to be able to resist against all the attempts of imperialism.
But what about solidarity?
You are witnesses to what happened during the coup d'etat of General Thialoun in Nigeria, what we call solidarity. Even if, in some way, imperialism did not hesitate to intervene, to leave the massacres of Muslim civilians, to reinstall their agents in power. So that's why I would like this construction site, the Constitution of the Confederation of States of the IIS, to be consolidated. And so that we can form a federation and stabilize our institutions under the journal. To be able to face the challenges of the struggle against external influences and the challenges of development and free movement of our populations.
The formation of a confederation of Sahel states could be the key to countering external influences and developing stronger economies, militaries, and societies. It's fascinating because what he's proposing isn't just about regional cooperation. It's about actively protecting sovereignty against foreign interference. When nations collaborate more freely and people can move across borders without artificial restrictions, it creates a stronger, more integrated continent. The Prime Minister is pushing for a new kind of unity, one where African nations stand together and form a united front against any outside forces that threaten their independence. This type of collaboration isn't just about avoiding conflict, it's about creating an environment where all countries involved can thrive by pooling resources and sharing knowledge. This idea of a confederation is a bold one, but it's also one that, if realized, could significantly shift the power dynamics in the region. One most important thing Africa needs is pushing the locals.
So, the task will be a little easier. And fortunately, you have a qualified staff. Whether it's the Secretary General, whether it's the cabinet here, who is ready to take up the challenges? Who is ready to take up the burden? We can trust them. In any case, just like within the government, as I told you, I was in good intelligence with all the ministries that are placed in the different governments. Within the Prime Minister, it was the same thing. I have never had a problem with a person, particularly whether it's the Secretary General or the cabinet, who has not found his solution in the same time. So I think that you should avoid creating an institution that has been blocked to advance. So you have all the tools to succeed. And so I wish you a good journey, and that there is a journey to an end. And at the end of your journey, I will be proud of you and of your work.
He calls for the need to strengthen the local population's economy, military, and overall resilience to outside pressures. And honestly, the PM's call for unity is more relevant than ever. In today's globalized world, it's easy for smaller nations to get lost in the shuffle, but when countries unite, they can create a force that's hard to ignore. This isn't just about defense or economic power, it's about sovereignty. Without sovereignty, African nations will continue to be at the mercy of foreign powers. But when the people stand together, when the countries stand together, that's when the real strength is formed. This is a pivotal moment in the interview because it speaks directly to the core of what Africa needs, not just independence, but sustained autonomy to determine its path forward. Only through unity and a collective push can real, lasting change happen. Do you think Africa is on the right path? Can Traoré change Burkina Faso and then Africa? Let us know in the comments section. Is the pushing of locals really going to save Africa? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.